Okay, good afternoon everybody. Today we'll be doing clinical examination of reflexes. Reflexes are very important. Now you should know what is a reflex. Whenever we strike a tendon, that tendon when you strike, it brings about the contraction of a muscle, and that contraction which you can see, which brings about an action, that is called as a reflex. Now reflex, there are superficial reflexes, there are deep reflexes and so on. There are reflexes based on spinal origin, there are reflexes based on cranial origin, which will come to it later. Since it is clinicals here, so we are doing clinical examination of reflexes. For examining the reflex, you need knee hammers. So here you have two types of knee hammers. Generally you find this kind of knee hammer which is there, or you also find this kind of knee hammer. Now this kind of knee hammer, this has a triangular head and it has a handle, and if you remove this, you see it has got a sharp end and it has a triangular rubber pad like. This rubber pad, triangular one, it has a broad base and a narrow base. Certain experiments need broad base. When you have to hit on a tendon, you need to have a broad base or narrow base based on your choice. But generally, for certain reflexes, I'll show you how you should use broad base, and certain reflexes where you want, appropriate one, you can use a narrow base. And this sharp end, after the handle you have the sharp end. This sharp end is used for plantar reflex. Of course, we will not be able to show all the reflexes. I can only demonstrate few reflexes like the upper limb reflexes. Of course, the lower limb reflexes I can't, but then we'll show you the recording of the videos placed and I can explain it to you. So this is the broad base and narrow base, and this is called as a knee hammer. You also get this kind of knee hammers. So this knee hammer, again this is a rubber stamp here, rubber pad here, and it is a round one in order to elicit the reflex. Again you have a sharp end for the plantar reflex. So these are the two kinds of knee hammer. You can get any, but best used is this kind of knee hammer. This is the best used knee hammer. So today we shall start reflexes. I told you what is a reflex. Reflex is nothing but it's a response whenever you strike a tendon. So it helps in contraction of the muscle, and the response is seen in, like example, if I strike a biceps tendon. What is biceps for? It's a flexor muscle. So you see the flexion of the hand. The muscle undergoes contraction when you strike the tendon, and which brings about flexion of the hand. If you strike a triceps tendon, the tendon again, it helps in contraction of the muscle, since the muscle is attached to the tendon, and that will bring extension of the hand, which will be showing here. So there are reflexes. Now why you have to check these reflexes? These reflexes are used to check, to make sure that the arch, the reflex arc is in connection and it is maintained, especially clinically in order to examine. Sometimes so happens in neurological cases, in case of accidents where the reflex arc is not maintained. I hope if you go back to the earlier classes, you know what is a reflex arc. You have an effector, you have a center, you have an effector. So that you have an afferent and you have an efferent which reaches the muscle, and therefore you can see the response. In order to see the reflex arc and the maintenance, that is brought about by this clinical examination of reflexes. You have the superficial reflex, you have the deep reflexes. Now deep reflexes are also called as deep tendon reflexes. Now superficial reflexes, if you want to check the cutaneous nerves, so if you stimulate this cutaneous nerves, that will bring about the cutaneous reflex. Deep reflexes, if you strike the tendon, you get the deep tendon reflexes. So now let me name the deep tendon reflexes. So first we will go by upper limb reflexes, then the lower limb reflexes. The upper limb reflexes, first we'll catch up, and you have the jaw jerk, okay. So now I'll be showing the upper limb reflexes. Of course, with the reflexes you should know the root value also. Now if I say firstly comes the biceps jerk, the root value. So now you should know what is the root value for that. I know you would have forgotten by now sitting at home. it is C5, C6. You have to learn it, because if not in physiology, they do ask the biceps, nerve supply, everything in anatomy. So it is always better to know the intact reflex arc. You should know the nerve supply also. Firstly, we'll do the biceps jerk. Bani Shardama. So this is our Shardama. Okay, so biceps jerk. See, whenever you are doing, make sure that you are comfortable. The patient is comfortable and the doctor, both of them should be comfortable. So what you should do, you have to rest her hand on your shoulder. See, you have to rest her hand on your shoulder in order to make it comfortable. Then it should be in a flexed position. Flexed position, when it is like this, stretch the tendon. Stretch the tendon. So when you stretch the tendon, see now the sharp edge of the, the triangular edge of the knee hammer, you can use it. Stretch it and strike it. So when you strike, see, you get the flexion of the forearm, because the biceps muscle, you have to see both. You have to see the contraction of the biceps muscle and the flexion of the biceps muscle. See this? So you see the flexion and the contraction of the biceps muscle. So this is biceps jerk. Root value C5 and C6. Now we'll come to the triceps jerk. Triceps jerk. Now you know triceps is the muscle of extension. So whenever you strike, you have to get a extension. So where is the muscle inserted? It is inserted to the olecranon process. And the triceps jerk, the root value being C6 and C7. So now you have to keep it like this. Keep it like this. And I'll show you in this hand, it is more comfortable. So see here. Rest her hand on your shoulder and you can use the broad end now. So when you hit it, you get the extension. You get the extension of the hand and contraction of the triceps muscle below. Whenever you are using a knee hammer, it should be free. It should be free to strike, whichever. It should be free like this. Like this. So otherwise, you keep a hand like this. See, this is the triceps muscle. So when I strike it here, see this? Loose bidi, Shardama. Loose bidi. Loose bidi, kai bidi, loose bidi. Hing it calling. See here? It loose bidi. See that? Of course, sometimes they do become conscious. So you can't make out. It loose bidi ನೀವು See this? The muscle goes like this. See that? That is extension. So this is triceps jerk with root value of C6 and C7. So here you see the contraction of the triceps muscle and the extension of the hand. Either you can do this method or you can keep it like this and you can strike the tendon where it shows extension. So since triceps is used for it's an extensor muscle, you can do triceps jerk with the root value C6 and C7. So we finish biceps jerk, triceps jerk. Next is the supinator jerk. Supinator jerk is also called as a handshake jerk. See, it is a handshake jerk. So you have to catch a hand like this and it should be semi-flexed, and here also it should be semi-flexed and semi-pronated. Semi-flexed at the elbow joint and semi-pronated at the wrist joint. So it is also called as handshake. So when you catch it like this, you know, brachioradialis is used for, it's for usually is for, you know, the screwdriver. Whenever you use the instrument screwdriver and semi-pronation, you use brachioradialis muscle, okay, for supination. It's used like this, okay. So when I strike, now we know, everybody should know brachioradialis muscle is inserted. Where is it inserted? Now I don't want to tell the answer. It's for you to find out where is it inserted. Okay, so here I find the styloid process, and if I strike the tendon, you see there will be supination. It will be supination of the hand. So, and also contraction of the brachioradialis muscle. Again, I'll show you on this side. Every reflex, if it is on the right side, you should also do it on the left side. So here you can't have a handshake. Here it's a handshake jerk, of course. But here you can catch it like this. Again, it is semi-flex and it is semi-pronated. So you can hit it like this. So you see, it goes like this and the contraction of the muscle. So whenever you hit it, it becomes like this. Okay. This is called as a handshake jerk, or it's also called as a supinator jerk. Okay. Next comes in lower limbs. I will show you the knee jerk, ankle jerk and the jaw jerk. Before going to the knee jerk, I will show you the jaw jerk first. Of course, knee jerk and ankle jerk, I'll play the videos. Jaw jerk, you have to keep your hand, keep your thumb over the jaw. So when you hit on this finger, she will close the mouth. Loose bidi, Shardamma. Loose bidi. Usually what happens, usually when they are very conscious, it will not come. So you have got to, when there are no, when she's not, when she's let down the inhibitions, that time you get the jerk. So just keep your thumb and you strike it. So you see, it just closes. Okay. So this is jaw jerk. Now I'll show you knee jerk and ankle jerk. When we start the mic. I'll just be playing a video on the knee jerk and ankle jerk, and later I'll explain it to you. I'll be showing you knee jerk first. Deep tendon reflexes. See, watch the knee jerk. Watch the knee jerk. If you take a knee hammer and strike it on the tendon, see that? Yeah, just see, you have to select about you have to select the insertion of the quadriceps muscle into the patella. When you strike the patella, you see the leg moves, it flexes. So you have to strike the tendon on the patella with the knee joint. You see there's contraction of the quadriceps muscle. At the same time, the knee is extended like this. See that? Just watch the knee jerk. Now he will strike it on the patella. The root value is L2, L3, L4. See that? See that? Saw the reflex? So that is called as a knee jerk. See once again. Now we come to the ankle jerk. The ankle jerk, again the root value is S1, S2. Okay. So now you see he is going to strike at the Achilles tendon. Here he is going to strike it with the knee hammer. Once he strikes it, you see the dorsiflexion of the leg here. See this. The Achilles tendon which is inserted behind here. Now you see once he strikes it, it will dorsiflex. See that? See? Yeah. Saw the dorsiflexion? That is how, that is the ankle jerk. There are various methods. You can make the person even stand on a stool and you can, take the leg and, you can strike it. There are various methods to do. After you come back to the college, we will elicit for you. This you have to just know how to elicit knee jerk and ankle jerk. So that is how you have to elicit knee jerk and ankle jerk. Once you come back, we will show you. At the same time, there is also plantar jerk. The this is the knee jerk. So now this is the superficial and deep tendon reflexes. First I have taken the deep tendon reflexes where we have learned biceps jerk, triceps jerk, supinator jerk, jaw jerk, knee jerk and ankle jerk. So you get 5 jerks, 5 reflexes under deep tendon reflexes. Biceps jerk where you strike the biceps tendon here where you stretch it and strike it. So you see the flexion and the contraction of the biceps muscle. Then the triceps jerk where you strike the tendon over the olecranon process and you see the contraction of the triceps muscle and the extension of the limb. Then it is the jaw jerk where you strike over the chin and there is sudden closure. You have the ankle jerk and the knee jerk which is of the lower limbs. Please remember the root values. These are deep tendon reflexes. Now coming to the superficial reflexes. Now superficial reflexes, you have 2 types of superficial reflexes. You have the cranial ones, cranial originated, and you have the spinal originated. Now the spinal originated are, you have the plantar reflex, the cremasteric reflex, the abdominal reflex, the bulbocavernous reflex, the anal reflex and the scapular reflex. Let me tell you, you have the plantar reflex. So I'll play a video for the plantar reflex. Plantar reflex is usually to see the Babinski's sign. Now see here, plantar reflex, the patient is made to sleep and he will strike it along the lateral aspect of the leg. So see that? See that? That's how the plantar reflex is. Now usually the plantar reflex, so that is the plantar reflex. So if you have to strike it on the lateral aspect of the leg and come towards the medial aspect, which I showed you. It is also called as Babinski's sign. Generally the plantar reflexes normally, or it's the flexion of all the toes. Supposing if this is the leg, now it's not done in the hand, it's done only in the leg. So like how I showed you the video for the plantar reflex, generally there will be flexion of all the fingers of the toes and also even the greater toe. But what happens in case plantar reflex is done, again it is a superficial reflex. It is done in order to know whether the corticospinal tract is normal, intact or no. Example I told you, in case of eventualities or in case of casualties where the plantar reflex is abolished, if there is any the spinal cord section, the transections and all, in case of accidents and all, in order to know the intactness of the corticospinal tract. So you get an, if it is damaged, so you get, instead of flexion and of the toes, you will get fanning of the toes and hyperextension of the great toe, which is abnormal. So that is called as Babinski's sign positive. If it is flexion and all, it is Babinski's sign negative. That means the corticospinal tracts are normal. In case it flexes, in case there is fanning of the toes, then it is called Babinski's sign positive. But however, in children under 2 years of age, because the pyramidal tract will not be formed fully, in that case you see that you will have the Babinski's sign positive. You will get the plantar reflex as hyperextension and fanning of all the toes. But in case of corticospinal, if it is normal, you do not get that. You get the normal plantar reflex. If it is abnormal, or if you don't have an intact corticospinal tract, or if it is damaged, you get fanning of all the toes. So that is Babinski's sign. So today we learned plantar reflex, which is one of the superficial reflexes. In order to, this is under the reflex only, in order to know about the corticospinal tract. Then we have the cremasteric reflex. So when you, cremasteric reflex is also one of the superficial reflex. When you stroke the cremasteric muscle near the scrotum, you see there's contraction of the muscle and this pulling up of the scrotum. So that is cremasteric reflex. That is done in case of ICUs when you see a bedridden patient in order to examine the reflexes. Then you have cremasteric reflex, the root value being L1 and L2. Next you have the abdominal reflex. Expose the abdomen of the patient, and when you strike, when you take a sharp edge of a sharp instrument and just you stroke it over the abdomen in this direction, in this direction, and even below when you stroke it. So you see this contraction of the abdominal muscles. So that is also seen in the superficial reflex. However, the root value being T10 to T12. Then you have the bulbocavernous reflex. Again, you strike the medial aspect of the thigh or all the cavernous muscle. So you see there is contraction of the bulbocavernous muscle. So which you see. Anal reflex, when you strike the region near the anal canal, you see there's contraction of the anal sphincters. That is anal reflex. Again, root value being S3 and S4. And then you also have the scapular reflex. So you just put a stroke, a gentle stroke in between the scapula. You see there's contraction of the muscles. So that is the scapular reflexes. So you have superficial reflexes, namely the plantar reflex, the cremasteric reflex, the bulbocavernous reflex, the anal reflex, and you have the scapular reflex. So these are the superficial reflexes. Initially what we learned was deep reflexes. Then you also have the sphincteric reflex, you have the swallowing reflex or the deglutition reflex. So to know whether it is intact, you have to just tell the patient to just swallow or gulp one ounce of water. Maturation reflex and defecation reflexes. Okay, so this is clinical examination of reflexes. Like how I taught you, you have superficial reflexes and deep reflexes. Now, as we learn this, now you should also know the grading of reflexes. So you have, supposing in case of a hemiplegic patient and or a paraplegic patient where both the limbs are paralyzed, hemiplegia where one half of the body is paralyzed. So in that case, whenever you're checking for reflexes, reflexes are always checked on both the sides, on the right side and on the left side, in case of upper limbs and lower limbs. So in case of grade 0, you start grading based on their recovery. Grade 0 is absent reflexes. Grade 1 is present, but it is a diminished reflex. Diminished or lesser. It's not so brisk like your ankle jerk. You just strike the Achilles tendon, so you get a mild jerk. So that is grade 1. Grade 2 is, it is a brisk reflex like knee jerk. You just strike the tendon, the quadriceps tendon on the patella on the insertion, you get a brisk knee jerk. So that is grade 2. Grade 3 is very brisk where you just strike and it just hyperreflexia. And grade 4 will be clonus. Clonus is, you just, clonus is, the continuous contraction of the tendon where it is inserted. You get the continuous contraction. However, when you come back, we will be showing you, we'll be taking classes and we will do revision classes and we'll show you how to elicit the reflexes, superficial and deep reflexes. I repeat, the classification of reflexes: grade 0, absent reflex. Grade 1 is present but diminished, called like ankle jerk. Grade 2 is, it's a brisk reflex like knee jerk. Grade 4 is grade 3 is very brisk, it is hyperreflexia, and grade 4 will be clonus. Okay, the continuous contraction of the muscle, which we will be showing you in the practicals when you come down. But right now, you should know reflexes are classified into superficial and deep, spinal origin and cranial origin. So you have under spinal origin, of course, you have all the reflexes. Cranial origin, you have the pupillary reflex, you have the accommodation reflex, which we will be teaching you under cranial nerve examinations. Pupillary reflex, accommodation reflexes, all that is under cranial origin, which we will be teaching you in the cranial nerve examination. Right now, you just remember it is superficial reflexes and deep reflexes. Superficial reflexes, you have the triceps jerk, you have the biceps jerk, you have the knee jerk, ankle jerk and the jaw jerk. And please go and read back the root values. Root values for triceps, root values for bicep jerk and all that. Then you have the, these are the deep tendon reflexes. They are not superficial reflex. They are deep tendon reflexes. Superficial reflexes are, you have the plantar reflex, the cremasteric reflex, the bulbocavernous reflex, the abdominal reflex, the anal reflex and the scapular reflexes. These are all the superficial reflexes. The deep tendon reflexes are biceps jerk, triceps jerk, jaw jerk, knee jerk, ankle jerk. You have 5 deep tendon reflexes and you have the superficial reflexes. All this reflex clinical examination is done to see the reflex arc, whether it is intact or no. And you should know the take home message, you should know the grading of the reflexes. In exams, the examiner will say, the question will be, examine triceps jerk. Examine triceps jerk. So what do? First of all, now classify. Tricep jerk is a deep tendon reflex. You should know the root value of the tricep jerk, and then you should take a knee hammer, strike it on the insertion of the triceps muscle, which is into the olecranon process. Strike it. So you see there is extension plus contraction of the triceps muscle, like how I elicited it. So therefore you should know, and you should also tell the response, the extension and the contraction of the triceps muscle. So you should know superficial reflexes, deep reflexes, reflexes of cranial origin and spinal origin. And once you'll come here, we'll be showing you, you should know what is Babinski's sign. It can be a short note even for your theory question. You should know Babinski's sign. Where is it positive? It is positive where the corticospinal tracts are damaged. It is positive where the individual is in the deep sleep. It is positive in children below 2 years because the pyramidal tracts are not well formed. But otherwise, it is negative. You get the normal plantar reflex. It is negative Babinski sign. In case of damaged corticospinal tracts, you get the positive Babinski's sign. Okay, so these are all, and reflexes of cranial origin, that and all, pupillary reflex, accommodation reflex and all that will be teaching you in the cranial nerve examinations. So I hope you all understood. To summarize, finally, let me tell you, grading of reflexes. Grade 0 is absent reflex. Grade 1 reflex present but it is diminished like ankle jerk. Grade 2 is brisk reflex like your knee jerk. Grade 3 is very brisk reflex. And grade 4 is clones. Okay, 5 grades. Sorry, 4 grades. Whereas in case of classification, deep tendon reflexes are your biceps jerk, tricep jerk, supinator jerk, jaw jerk, ankle jerk and knee jerk. Okay. Whereas in case of superficial reflexes, abdominal reflex, anal reflex, plantar reflex, bulbocavernous reflex, and then you have the scapular reflex and the cremasteric reflex. Okay, so thank you. Please go back and read, and I hope you all have understood. I don't expect 100% of understanding, but then when you come back, we'll again revise and we can elicit the reflex and I can teach you in detail. Thanks for watching. Hello,